Good evening. Merry Christmas Eve and anything else that you celebrate. I don't know if you have a hard time going to bed on Christmas Eve, but I still do. And I know I'm old, but I don't care. So if you wanted, you can read along with me. I'm going to read a Once There Was and Was Not, a modern Armenian folktale. And there's a little bit of breeze in the background, so you can get some Florida wind in there too. But we're going to read this book together, okay? I'll show the illustrations as we go along because they're absolutely beautiful. Once there was and was not a modern Armenia boy named Atoran. He lived on a farm in a small village with a big name. Now, because there were few jobs in Nalabaran, Atoran's family had no steady income and survived instead on whatever they managed to grow on their meager patch of land. One day, as Atoran helped his mother pick apples, he said, "If only we had a cow, we could have yogurt and cheese and supper for tonight." "Atoran," his mother said, "wish for a cow for your neighbor instead, that good fortune may give to you too. You should never envy others." So Aturan, who was mostly obedient, did exactly that. Here's the beautiful illustrations. Now, not long after, something new and exciting happened at the school. The headmaster called everyone together and said, "Beginning next week, we will offer 6 after-school clubs to anyone interested." He described each club and the kinds of things the students would be doing. On the way home, Arturan and his 2 friends, Zachris and Lazar, tried to decide, "How about ecology?" suggested Arturan. "No, journalism," offered Lazar. "And then we should sign up for agriculture," said Zachris. Announced, "We'll learn how to care for calves." Arturan and Lazar burst out laughing. "We have no calves," Lazar pointed out. Zachris suggested, "Maybe one day." Arturan and Lazar doubted it, but because Zachris signed up, they were such good friends, they did too. Throughout the fall, the club they met every week, and do you know, they had a lot of fun. In the last week of October, following a skit on how to bathe a calf that started Aturan as an uncooperative calf, the teacher made an announcement: next week the class will receive a gift. No one, including Aturan, paid much attention, figuring it was probably something like a plaque with a club motto. Imagine their astonishment then when they were led outside to a grassy patch where a cluster of baby calves mewed and tugged at their leads. The class stood speechless as their teacher announced, "A generous donor has provided us with 10 dairy calves." "10? Wait a minute." As everyone cheered, Aturan quickly counted as 15 club members. "What about the others?" The teachers held up a small bag. "Please, choose a slip of paper. If your paper has an X, you may pick out a calf." Aturan and Lazar Zachris opened theirs together. "X," shouted Zachris. Just as Aturan saw that, Lazarus was blank. His shoulders slumped. How could this be? He glanced at Lazar, who looked equally miserable. And then he remembered his mother's warning. "Congratulations," he said with a grin, punching Zachris's arm. "Yes," added Lazar. punching the other arm. Ow! Thanks, said Sakris. For a moment, he grew quiet. You know what? We can take care of her together. Are you sure? Athoran asked. Of course. And so Sakris gathered one of the baby calves in his arms, and the three of them, taking turns carrying their bundle of good fortune, whooped and hollered all the way to Sakris's house. That afternoon, the boys built a stall in one corner of the shed. Atun helped Lazar pencil in the first notation in the log of the book, named the calf and how much food and how much water she'd had that day. As her name suggested, Marat, beautiful, was indeed lovely. And although she didn't belong to Artun or Lazar, she acted as though she was important by always coming right up to them. As autumn faded, Artun brought Moral apple cores and brushed their thickness into her coat. When she cried for her mother, he whispered songs and stroked her neck. Now that they had a real calf, the lessons learned in the club were put to practice. When the cold winter weather arrived, a thorn mucked as the stall as Lazar and Sakris scrubbed through and through the pail with hot water. Together the boys led on their first walk in the snow, laughing as she generally stepped through the snowflakes. Every once in a while, Atturn caught himself wishing Morale was his, but quickly pushed the thought away. Morale grew like a vine. By spring, she was as tall as Atturn. Sometimes the boys would take her to the field and tie her up while they played soccer. On Sunday afternoons, Atturn led her down to the road and back to visit other classmates' calves. As May approached, the Agriculture Club planned its big event, an animal fair. Each calf was to be judged in 5 categories. The boys kept busy preparing Marat and organizing for the fair. The day finally arrived, and family and friends had been invited. The crowd grew, and folk music filled the air. Lazar and Atun wanted this for Sakris. At the judging table, the visiting judges put on long white lab coats, and the mayor arrived and took his place behind the table. Sakris and Moral were nowhere to be found. And finally, Atun spotted Sakris's father hurrying towards him with Moral, saying, Sakris is very sick. We've taken him to the hospital. The boys gasped. The hospital? Lately, Sakris had looked a little pale and tired, but this was unexpected. Atun felt speechless with sadness. Sakris's father tried to reassure them, to let them know Sakris would be all right. He'll be home from the hospital day after tomorrow, he said. But what about the fair? Lazar asked. What's going to happen to Moral? Sakris's father passed a logbook to Lazar's hands and said, Lazar, I'd like for you to show Moral today. Now it was Lazar's turn to be surprised. Me? No, For weeks, Sakris had been practicing for the fair and cleaned and brushed Moral's clothes until it shined. Yes, of course, Atron and Lazorn had helped, but No one knew Morale like Sacris. For one small moment, Aton wished it was him, but quickly said, "You can do this, Lazar. I'll help you put her decorations on." Right away, they got to work. Morale wouldn't stand still and kept looking around for Sacris. Shush, 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 whispered Aton. Just as they attached the final garland, the mayor announced the start of the contest. As Lazar led Morale to her place in the ring, Aton found a spot at the edge of the crowded circle. "Good luck," he called. "Isn't she beautiful?" Each person introduced his animal. In a wobbly voice, Lazar said, "This is Morale, and I am Lazar. Morale is as beautiful as her name, except when she was small, and I didn't like to be bathed." When the crowd laughed, Lazar relaxed. After introductions, the animals were measured, weighed, examined, poked, prodded. The random questions came next, and when Lazar asked, he read aloud, "How do you feed a 3-month-old calf?" Aturn sighed with relief easy. The final critique, judging the logbooks, didn't worry Aturn as much either, since he knew he had kept good records, even passing the few weeks Morale as she grew. While the judges tallied the scores, the calves, their owners, waited anxiously in the circle, chatting with their bystanders and soothing their animals. Finally, the judges approached the microphone and announced the winners. 4th place, Ruleta. 3rd place, Ara. 2nd, and then the winners came up to receive their prizes. Aturn kept glancing Lazar and Morale. They had worked so hard. "First place, Lazar," the judge announced. The audience burst into cheers and Lazar stepped forward to receive his prize, a camera and a new notebook. Aturn rushed up. "Sacris, you'd be so proud." Behind them, the judges had huddled together again, and the next thing Aturn knew, they pushed forward and quieted the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," one of the judges boomed, "we've just learned that the young man who showed the winning calf was not the owner. Our good thoughts were with Sacris, were with speedy recovery." The judge beamed Lazar. "This boy," she said, "wasn't lucky enough to get a calf, but instead of dropping out, he remained and committed to the club." Now she paused. "The judges are so impressed that this boy managed to win 1st place that we've pledged somehow to find funding to give him a calf." The crowd erupted in bravos and applause, and Aturn, cheering the loudest, almost missed the next sentence. "And there's another boy who did the same. Aturn, we'd like to give you a calf as well for all your hard work and commitment." And it was that, when Aturn wished for a cow for his neighbor, he was given 2, and no longer had he dreamed about yogurt and cheese. And thus he achieved his heart's desire. And so, one day may you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Be safe. Love you all.